couple things we want you to get out of this clinic. That we kept it relatively small because Bill prefers not to have 100,000 people in the clinic. And I want just people here that he is here for you to ask him questions. Okay? Don't take for granted, you know, Bill's normal, believe it or not, normal guy here. And if he shows you something that's different than what we taught you, if it works for you, use it. I mean, everybody's different, so we're going to apply that in different ways.
That makes sense to you?
They're paying customers. I'm sorry. Some of your parents were asking me about Bill and his relationship with Elvis Presley, and Elvis was a big rehab thing for you, right? With the acupuncture. He's the gentleman that found John Belushi, who was working with him on the movie at the time, and there's a lot of history you guys might want to ask him and talk to him, because I kept picking his brain, Elvis and everything, and all the kids around going, who is that? Neither, that's what we're doing. One of the things Bill and I were talking about Atlanta like 4 or 5 years ago about why point karate really never got off the ground, because I feel like point karate is one of the most fascinating sports here when it's done right. And Bill gave the analogy of this, and he and I were fighting, and he throws a side kick and hits me in the arm, and knocks me halfway across the room, and I come back up, and it's no point because I blocked it. And then they say go, and I smack him in the back because he don't move, and then they give me the point. Well, people don't understand. I tapped him, I got a point, he knocked the crap out of me, he didn't get a point. So I've taught you guys how to pop people in the face of the day. Bill's going to teach you how to knock them across the room. And we're going to have the best of both of them. And we're going to stay on the red in case they bleed. It'll just... Okay, Bill, they're all yours.
Thank you, sir.
No problem.
First of all, I'd like to thank Mr. Marty and I for inviting us, so thank you very much for inviting us. Exactly. Second most important thing, I'd like to thank you for coming. And most important thing that you can do this morning and early this afternoon is to have fun, relax and enjoy yourself. Also, I would like for you to kind of understand some of the ideas we're going to go through with, especially at first. Most of us, how many of you can do the splits? This way. Not this way. This way. This is the important way, okay? Good, okay. That's fine. We're going to find that out real soon. But most importantly, when you were taught to stretch, when you were taught flexibility exercises, who taught you? Your instructor, right? Okay. Who taught your instructor? His instructor. Somewhere down the list, some guy was fairly flexible, right? Because he could do this stuff, and you go, wow, how'd you do that? Rather than seem dumb, he came up with some exercises. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, and you get it wider, wider, wider. That might be fine for him because he probably was already flexible and just came up with these ideas. For you guys, you're going to go, oh, God, that hurts. Is it the same length for the shin pad in the booty? Or are you going to put the shin pad on one? But anyway, what I want you to think about is, I want to show you a way of working flexibility today that is so simple. So simple. We have to worry about our hip joints because we do a lot of kicking, because we do a lot of standing around, a lot of bouncing around when we're moving and so forth. And as you're spreading your legs apart, going down like this is your femur head. Fits in your acetabulum, very similar to this. There's a little white bristly substance surrounding that acetabulum called cartilage. The more you do this, the more you do that, and somebody pushes you down or somebody walks your feet out and so forth, the more you're doing this here, the more you're rubbing that little cartilage off. And if you take an X-ray of your hip joint, looks something like this. This should be clear. As you work with it and work with it and work with it, you get something that looks like that. It's bone on bone. And then you're a prime example for something called hip surgery, a brand new hip joint. What I want you to think about is taking the stress and taking the pressure off of that joint itself. Okay, now just stay seated and just spread out a little bit and put your legs about a 90-degree angle. Just come forward a little bit. Don't worry about lines or anything like this right now. Good. Can everybody kind of see me a little bit? Okay, now watch. My right foot's not going to move at all. It stays planted. It doesn't matter because I don't have to move both of them, but it's not going to move at all. The left leg is the only leg that will move, but I'm not going to move it. I'm going to allow it to move. I'm going to put my hands behind me in this position right here. Now just pick yourself up. Good. Now that's the gist of the exercise. I want you to watch right here in the crotch area. Because what's going to happen now is I'm going to take this leg and push it towards you. Why? Because as I push it towards him, this is going to separate right in here. Isolating the adductor group, the adductor longus, the adductor brevis, the adductor magnus, and the gracilis. Basically this area right here. As that happens, I want that muscle to get tired. Because when that muscle gets tired, what does it have to do a little bit? It has to relax. Not stretch per se, but it has to relax. We're not really stretching a muscle. Because if you did stretch the muscle, you'd stretch one time, then you never have to stretch again. If you really did stretch the muscle. But what you're teaching the muscle to do is to relax. And through time and time and time and time, and that muscle learns to relax, it just naturally relaxes. Anybody ever had an epidural when they had surgery? It's absolutely wonderful. If you ever had pictures taken, those arms and those legs are flopping all over the place. Why? Because there's absolutely no pain involved. You notice there's no pain, so that doctor can take that leg and just flop it anywhere. But the instant you feel pain, if I come up to you and I pinch you, what happens? It tightens up. So what I want you to think about doing right now is just relax. Just watch for a second. I put my legs a little more than 90 degrees apart, and I just sit here. Just watch. Don't move yet. Just relax. I sit there and I count to 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Now I just push my foot towards you. But as I push my foot towards you, watch what happens right in here. See how that separates? Now I sit here again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. Separates a little bit more. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. A little bit more. So as I go more and more and more and more, it gets fairly wide. And as you notice, as I'm sitting here, there's very little stress on the hip joint at all. Why? Because I'm sitting on it. I'm sitting. So it's not like I'm forcing it down. I'm just pushing it out. It's much like if somebody's working where they're pulling the joint away from it as they're pulling. So there's no stress on the joint itself. We're going to do that. We're going to use it as a warm-up. We're going to use it as a flexibility device. And we're going to use it also for endurance, getting the legs stretched out really good. We'll do 3 sets. The first set is 1 set of 5 to warm the muscles up. How do you warm a muscle up? What warms the muscles up? Huh? The movement. Not really. What warms the muscles up? No. What warms a muscle up? Heat. Heat. Heat comes from what? The muscle movement. Where's the heat come from? The blood. The blood warms the muscle up, right? The heart starts pumping pretty fast. That's why we jump in place, we run in place, we jump rope, we move around all that. Get the heart pumping. Heart pumping, nice warm fresh blood into the muscle. Warms it up so you don't tear it. You don't stress it. Same thing happens when we're working flexibility. Why? Because as you start putting a little bit of stress on this, your heart rate speeds up a little bit. Pumping nice fresh deoxygenated blood into those muscles. We hope. Okay, legs apart please. Hands behind you. Lean back. Now put your hands way out in front of you. What just happened? Feel the back of your leg tighten up? Okay, now, we're isolating the adductor muscle group right in here. If I come forward and I'm leaning like this, what muscle comes into play also? The hamstring, the biceps femoris, right?